I've been seen occasionally around campus with something like this under my arm, and sometimes it's just a prop or for protection. But there's always something exciting inside of this, and usually it's a building. But today, it's something even more important than a building. It's an educational commitment to develop people who build things. And so as I pull this out, I have, good luck. This is what we're here to talk about today, the future of Belmont in architecture. Woo! I just want to make sure that's the same thing. They told me it would be, but you just, I'm kind of like, show me. We're so excited that you're here today, and I want to add my thanks to that you've just received to all of our guests for joining us here today. Thank you for coming. This is a day that, on one hand, Belmont's been thinking about for a long time, but actually not doing anything about. And I'll tell you in a minute about what has moved us to action. But over the past few months, we've been intensively considering how we might create an opportunity for students, our students and others in our community, to become licensed credentialed architects. And our answer to that is a 5-year Bachelor of Architecture degree. And this degree is one which is, you start as a freshman, 5 years later you graduate with the educational requirements that you have, and then you do your internships, apprenticeship, whatever you all call it. I know it's different. Everything in architecture has to be different. I've learned that for sure. But at the end of that time, you're eligible to sit for a license and become a person who designs buildings. And as I thought about that path, that's a pretty rigorous path. But also, it's really important that this not fall down on us today. So there is a lot of requirements for architects, and I think sometimes that complicating factor kind of keeps people away. But we think that this 5-year program is right for Belmont and especially right for Nashville. One of the things that we did is we looked at the possibility of doing this is we took a map of the United States and plotted where all the schools of architecture are, and especially plotted where the 5-year programs, they're the ones that lead from freshman to that 5th year on a path that'll get you toward licensure. There are master's degrees program, and I think there's one in Memphis, right? A master's there, and it's great. But when you plot these bachelor's programs, you can kind of look around and you see there's a great program down at Auburn, and there's a great program at Mississippi State, and then you have to go all the way to the corner of Arkansas, which I always want to do. They had a great program at Fayetteville, and then you go over to St. Louis, and then all the way over to Lexington, Kentucky, and then all the way over to Knoxville and down to Athens, Georgia, and you got this big ring. And I usually see things better when I do that. Like, I'm gonna need to look at this. Eventually, I'm gonna look at my notes. And when you do that with that map, you see something, you see it. And sometimes I can see it better when my eyes are blurred. And you see there's a huge circle right there. And then you open your eyes, and right in the middle of that circle is Nashville, Tennessee. And that's where we are, right in the middle of that circle. And we really feel like it's time for a program in Nashville. We feel like it's a time for the aspiring architects such as myself to get officially credentialed. To those of you that have worked with us, you know. I'm not kidding. I want a real stamp. Not one that says honorary or honorary. I can't tell which one it is sometimes. But we think that this has the potential for great success here in Nashville, Tennessee. When we look around Nashville and what's going on here, we're just even more sure that this is the right place. If we were in a city that was going nowhere, this would be a stretch and a risk. But I counted 16 cranes from my window today in Nashville. The building is going like crazy. And some of you who are architects may think you don't need any more competition. There's enough architects. But in Nashville, there's about 600, well, actually probably more like 700 architects employed. But in our competitor cities, like Austin, Texas, there's 1,000. In Charlotte, there's 1,200. There's plenty of room for more architects in Nashville. And if you don't want to stay in Nashville when you're done, which most of our students do, you can still employ that from here to anywhere thing that we've got and go serve in the 25,000 new positions that are expected to be created in the next decade. And that's according to Architecture Magazine. I didn't make that up. So we really are excited about this, and I have to say the motivation, or not the motivation, the reason it's happening today, though, instead of a year from now, 2 years, or maybe never, is because of our partnership, acquisition, whatever we want to call it, of the O'Moore School of Design. And Sherry Fox, who was president of O'Moore, is over here, and Jamie Jacobson is right there beside her, who's been involved at O'Moore in the interior design program for many, many years. And this just makes sense now for Belmont to have this program developed on this campus. We already have 5 architects working and teaching in the program over there. So it's not like we're going to be able to keep the architects out any longer anyway. So why not figure a way to bring them in a structured fashion? They love structure, and make them a part and to grow what we do here at Belmont. So that's a big reason for putting this together, is that relationship that we now have with O'Moore, and the fact that they had been working with people like David Prophet over here and other architects in the city to talk about this for some time. And so when it came to us, it was really a pretty easy decision. So now I want to call on Dr. Thomas Burns, who's our provost, who always is there to bring down the hyperbola and make it real and bring the real facts to bear. And Thomas, if you would come and say a word about this program, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Fisher. I've been a part of the Nashville community again for 8 years, but after having earned my PhD here, I got to know Nashville as the Athens of the South, as we're often called. And just as Athens was the center for academic growth, it was also a center for art and architecture. And it's really exciting to be able to, in this large and creative community, be able to bring an architecture program back home, to be able to do what we do best in our creative community, to develop our city together. A growing city needs strong connection to its past and thoughtful and creative planners for its future. As Dr. Fisher mentioned, in about a 150-mile radius from Nashville, you can't find an architecture program, and so we need something to help our community grow. The 5-year Bachelor of Architecture program will be housed in the O'Moore School of Design at Belmont University, as Dr. Fisher said, and it's a professional degree, which means that you don't have to go on for a master's degree after this professional bachelor's degree. You can go straight into the process of pursuing licensure right after graduating with your bachelor's degree. So students will be able to enter into the architectural experience program following the degree and eventually be able to sit for the architectural registration exam. We are immediately beginning the process of pursuing accreditation through the National Architectural Accrediting Board, as well as the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools Commission on Colleges, which is our regional accreditor. The first class for this program will enter in fall 2020, and so we expect our first graduating architects to be joining our community in 2025. We're excited today to be joined by a variety of friends and colleagues in the architectural community who we will be inviting to help advise us, to join with us, to support the program and to support our students and help develop a world-class architecture program here in Nashville. We're so excited to be able to announce this, to share this with you today, and excited to look forward to what we do together to help make Nashville even more beautiful. Dr. Fisher?
Thanks, Thomas, and once again, thanks to all of you for being here. For the members of the press, if you have individual questions, and we'll be around up here, especially direct those to people that know something about this. But I'll be glad to answer them if you can't get them. So again, thanks to everyone for being here, and have a great rest of the Friday we're going to at Belmont. Thanks.